Now, in this video, we're going to add some additional information to our very basic web page. So we're picking up where we left off last time. We have our basic structure, and what I've done is I've saved this file and renamed it index. So we're going to use it as our home page. So we're going to need to come up with a name for our web page. So let's suppose we'll just call it, let's say we're making up a restaurant, and we're going to call it, I love cheese personally, so we're going to call this Cheese Haven homepage. So again, this is the name that's going to appear in the tab when we load this into our browser. Now, this is inside the head tag, there is a title name, and that is what's going to name our browser. Now we can add more information here, but this is fine for now. Now inside the header, again, we mentioned last time that this is what we want to appear at the very, very top of the page. And typically headers are going to be styled with header tags. And the header tags sometimes are referred to as HN tags. And the top header tag, the one with the largest font, is going to be the H1 tag. And again, I'm going to close it just as I start it. And again, we're going to, because we want this name to appear on our web page in nice big bold font, we're going to call this Cheese Haven homepage. So again, what does the header tag do? The header tag is going to make the font of our Cheese Haven homepage name. It's going to make it large, and it's going to make it bold. Now, there are other header tags that you can use, and each one, numbered 1 through 6, will be smaller, slightly smaller in font. They will all be bold, but they'll be slightly smaller font sizes so that you can have subheadings. So for instance, if I wanted to say underneath this, maybe my restaurant slogan name, oh, I don't know. Oh, I don't know. What would you say about cheese? Cheese lovers unite. I don't know. Now, this will appear on the same page, again, also in bold font, but it will be as a slightly smaller size, and we'll see that in a second. Now, inside the main tag is where we're going to put our main content for the page. Again, this is going to also appear on the screen, so we can include information about our restaurant. Cheese Haven is the premier restaurant for cheese lovers of all kinds. We have creamy cheeses, baked and melted cheeses, sandwiches, pasta, fondue. In our main dishes, our side dishes, and of course, cheesecake for dessert. So we put some content we're telling people about our cheese lovers restaurant. And of course, you can continue with this with multiple paragraph tags. You can also use tags like the break tag. What the break tag does is it's going to just add a carriage return without adding a space. So the paragraph tag, what it's going to do, more text here. What it's going to do is it's going to put an automatic space between each of the paragraphs. But maybe you don't want a space between the lines. Maybe what you just want is a line break. So there may or may not be a lot of use for this. If you're writing poetry, maybe about cheese fondue, then you would want a line break, not a line space between each of your poetry lines. So what you can do is you can use a break tag. So line 1, and then you would put a break. And then, and again, you can string this out on one line, or you can add additional spaces. Again, the HTML is not going to read anything other than the first space. And it doesn't really read things between tags at all. And then you can put another break. And then we'll put line 3. And again, what this is going to do is it is going to carriage return, but without adding that space. You can also include images. So maybe in your header, you to include an image for your logo, maybe. You can put that either like pictures of cheese related food, or you can use a logo, something like that. So for your image tag, these would be IMG for short for image. And then inside the image tag, you would have to put source information. And inside your parentheses, you would have to put information on the source of that image. Now, I don't have any images in my folder right now, but if you had an image, say a logo, you would do something like this. You would add information in attribute form inside the image tag that would include information on what this image either looks like or what its purpose is, Cheese Haven logo, in case the image doesn't load, or in case a screen reader for a blind person is reading it, they will at least be able to say what the image is supposed to be for. And then you can also specify things like width, maybe how big your image is, and height. You should use the size of the image that the image actually is, and not use the browser to resize it. That can lead to distortion. And especially if you're using a very small, like a thumbnail, you actually don't want to load like a giant, like 2000 pixel image only to shrink it down to 200 pixels, because that's a lot of memory that is taken up unnecessarily. So you would want to resize it offline and then just use the image attributes that are there. You can also add things like, you can also add things like horizontal breaks or horizontal rules. So if you want to separate your page content so that there are sections that are clearly delineated, you can enter a horizontal rule. And the horizontal rule and the break tags do not have any closing tags that you have to worry about. So you can actually, again, you can string them together. And when we talk about CSS, at some point, there are ways to style these so that you can select different versions of the horizontal rule. And then the last thing that I want to mention that you can add to your page are links. And typically, links are done using the A tag. And then inside there, you have an address for where your link is supposed to go. And then link text goes there, and then the closing A tag. A stands for anchor. You can also use the A tag not only for links to external documents, but also for links to like points on your website, so you can add anchors. We're not going to talk about how to do that in this video, but there are ways to put anchor points within your web page so that if you have a lot of content, you can jump down to important points within that same page. For right now, I am just going to put a link to my simple template. since I know it's in the same folder, and then I'll be able to click on it and it will actually go someplace. But you can also put external URLs for web pages that are off of here, although you would have to use the full URL and not just the name of the page. Now let's save this and then look at it in the browser. So let's open it and let us go to look at it. So this is my page now loaded into my browser. And so you can see what some of the text did. So the tab up here says Cheese Haven homepage. And up here, we have Cheese Haven homepage on the page. That was our title that's up here in the tab. And Cheese Haven homepage, this was our H1 header. And then the H2 header, you can see it's also bold, but it is a little bit smaller in size. And then our regular plain text. And again, there's 6 levels of headers. The 6th level is actually smaller than the default font, so they don't get used very often. But H1, H2, even H3 are relatively common. You can see that when I ended that paragraph and then started a new one, there is a gap, there's a space between the paragraphs. Whereas when I used my line break between line 1 and line 2 and line 3, there is a carriage return, but there is no space between the lines. So that's what that break tag is for. My Cheese Haven logo, since I have no logo actually in that file where I saved this page, it's not loading, but the alt text did load that I put in that alt tag. These are my horizontal rules, and they're sized according to the size of your window. So they will go all the way across the page unless you format them. And I have a horizontal rule and then a break and then a horizontal rule. And this is my link text. And if I click on this, it will go to my blank sample page, which was the hello world that we just did in the previous video.